That is true. That is true.
You know,
Oreo doesn't exist.
That's a new product idea.
I like making new products.
We got.
I do like new. I like.
Hello, I'm just gonna jump into this because this is gonna go in a different direction. Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Pfeiffer. I'm the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine. I'm really excited to be here on this panel. We're talking about something that I am a little too early of a father to be fully aware of. My son is 2, so we're still just watching like fire trucks on YouTube. But eventually, we will be watching sports on Nickelodeon, no doubt.
Next year.
Next year? Is that when kids you start them at 3?
What do you think?
Yeah, why not?
His daughter's 3.
Your daughter watching Nickelodeon?
She likes football. Daddy, you play football? You fall down, but you get up. Like, that's a life lesson right there.
That's a good life lesson.
Anytime you fall down, you get up, Jet.
So my niece says football is men who go boom.
So that makes a lot of sense, because we do go boom a lot.
Is that copyrighted? You can run with that. Let me introduce the folks here before we just start.
It's out of control.
It's already out of control. Really, I'm trying to keep this thing together, people. Okay. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to introduce everyone, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the partnership, and then we'll watch a video, and then we'll kind of get into a conversation about how these brands have worked together and how you've kind of innovated to reach this new audience. So, starting down at the left here, this is Dawn Hudson, the Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer of the NFL. Sorry for reading bios, but if I memorized it, I would have gotten it all wrong. Dawn is responsible for building the fan base of the NFL and growing the NFL brand. Woo! She also oversees marketing for the NFL networks and NFL events, including the Super Bowl and the draft. Martellus Bennett. Woo! You may recognize him from Men Who Go Boom. It's a show on TV. And in addition to Martellus's career in the NFL, he also has a company called the Imagination Agency, a 4-person agency.
Yeah, but we.
Are you're gonna question that again? What's gonna happen?
Hi guys, I'm Martellus Bennett.
There you go. Anyway, Martellus,
Super Bowl champion.
Super Bowl champion.
Right? I mean,
He's got a multi.
Yeah, you're not wearing your ring.
That's big.
It's got 283 diamonds on it. I don't want to get robbed. It's like saying, hey, I got a target on my back. Take my ring.
Martellus he runs a multimedia creative production company focusing on children's literature, entertainment, and education. And he also works quite a lot with Nickelodeon. And then Keith Dawkins here is the Executive Vice President of Teen Nick and Nicktoons. And then I guess under Nicktoons is Nick Sports. Do I have that right?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's like layers of Nick.
It's like onions.
That's right. You just keep
peeling it back.
It's Nick all the way down. Philosophy majors? No? Okay. Keith is in charge. Keith is charged with further mining programming and partnership opportunities and deepening Nick's relationship with sports leagues and athletes. So, yes, sir.
Can we get that time back?
Yeah, we blew a lot of time on that. That's not my fault. I was trying to keep this thing running.
Wow.
Did you introduce yourself?
Yeah, at the very beginning.
Okay, I wasn't here for that.
I'll do it again. Jason Pfeiffer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine. Failure as a leader of this group. But we're going to keep trying for at least 36 minutes.
It is the end of the afternoon.
More seconds. Yeah, that's right. Everyone just wants to drink. Keith, set us up with what's going on with the NFL and Nickelodeon, and then let's take a look at it, and then let's talk about how it's
Got it. Okay, so I'll be trying short and concise as I can be.
Yeah, because Martellus is watching the clock.
10,000 years ago, we had a meeting with the NFL, talking about a variety of ideas. Those ideas don't matter, but what was important was then, and 10,000 years later, is that the NFL has always been completely focused on the notion of how do we create the next generation of NFL fans. They know who they are in the space now, but they've always been focused on but for a 7 or 8 or 9-year-old today, or the one that's to come, how do we create, and so I was like, wow, that's interesting. Those guys are focused. They had a whole youth strategy around it, and what they were focused around kind of attached to our audience, our networks. So we partnered up then around this piece of IP called Rush Zone, which was a digital property that they had, create your 32-team avatars, did some work. Created a short form series that went into a long form series that didn't span a bunch of work with us, Super Bowl together. But the main thing was they were focused always on how do we create that lifelong fan, and they had a focused strategy and a focused team, and they haven't deviated from that since we've been in business with them. That's my experience to you guys. You may feel otherwise. On the athlete side, what's interesting is, we create this playground where athletes can come to play, but what we found is, as you play with these athletes more and more, if you get to know Martellus, being a professional athlete is like, oh, he plays for the Packers, that's why you hear Super Bowl ring. It's like number 55 on his list of how he identifies with. I literally exaggerate that not. You will have a conversation with him for 2 hours. It's not, so coming to play in Nickelodeons, because like it could be on the oldest end of the demo of the athlete. I have a 4-year-old who's watching Paw Patrol. On the youngest end of the athlete, it's, I grew up watching Nickelodeon, and oh my gosh. He sits in that in-between of like, he grew up watching animation and cartoons and films and blah, blah, blah. He wants to talk that way more than he wants to talk anything else. He wants to inspire his child in this space, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, well, this is just a great playpen to play in, right? They're focused on the audience for their agenda about, right? He's focused on, like, I grew up in this space and I'm inspired by some stuff. I want to create some content for this next generation and for my daughter. I'm like, and it works. So our whole strategy is kind of built around how do we mine content from a new pool of partners? How do we market ourselves Nickelodeon off our screens and not just be arrogant, like the NFL's trying to not be arrogant and go, we're big and number one, but how do we be humble and go, we need to build ourselves for success 20 years from now so we're still relevant? We're trying to not be arrogant and go, we're Nickelodeon number one. How do we market ourselves off our screens and go to the other passion points that are important to our audience, sports being one of them. And so that's how this relationship all comes together. And I think to the video that we're about to click to is kind of a culmination of the work that we've done with the NFL this past year, Super Bowl 51 in Houston. But you'll see a content play, you'll see a on-the-ground marketing activation, you'll see digital social expanses that all speak to that content from a new pool of partners, marketing stuff off of our screens. And by the way, if we get it right, we need to monetize this stuff. There's a new pool of advertisers that come in. So you want to go to the tape?
Sounds good. Let's watch it.
Houston, we have Nickelodeon at Super Bowl. Through the power of Nick and the NFL, fans everywhere got a one-of-a-kind all-access pass to the big game with massive on-the-ground activations and one game-changing special programming event.
Who's ready for a showdown?
Let's do it! Plus, behind-the-scenes coverage at the coolest places to be at Super Bowl.
I think this is pretty good.
Airing all week long on Nickelodeon everywhere.
We have all access to Lady Gaga.
Hi, Lady Gaga.
Hi, Cal. How are you?
We burst through the tunnel at NRG Stadium with Brianna Eady from School of Rock for an exclusive tour with the Houston Texans. And tackled Super Bowl opening night with Kel Mitchell from Game Shakers. Stealing the show is Ed from Good Burger, both on the ground and scoring millions and millions of impressions across social media, including over 2.6 million views on Snapchat.
Everyone calls you the GOAT. You don't look like a farm animal, though.
Hey, can I get inside a good price?
But it was at the NFL Experience where the Nick brand really came alive for the first time ever at a Super Bowl with our massive must-see interactive activation that was seen and touched by all, featuring games, more games, and enough slime to cover over 500 fans and NFL players. Our booth scored big all week long.
1, 2, 3, slime!
It all led up to the other big game, the Superstar Slime Showdown at Super Bowl. This was the wildest football challenge ever, where stars from Nickelodeon's School of Rock teamed up with stars from the NFL like Drew Brees, Victor Cruz, DeMarcus Ware, and Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson. All hosted by the one and only Nick Kent.
Let's have some serious fun Nickelodeon style.
By the time the last player was slimed, it was clear. When the NFL and Nickelodeon partner, they create a dream team that powerfully connects with kids and families.
So everybody in the audience gets slimed after this panel, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
it's not after, it's during.
It's
Right
during.
now, we got hoses, we're going to fire
5 minutes, everyone gets slimed.
Crowd
I'm
is
just going to
growing.
say to that, it's, you know, for us, it's, if you haven't been to the Super Bowl, what's humbling is the Super Bowl, I mean, you know it's big when you're there. I mean, it's seismic. To be able to be a part of that and to see kids' faces get passionate around our brands is like, wow, within this zeitgeisty idea, they're excited about it. So to me, what I hope is you're 7, 8, 9, you're coming there for the Super Bowl. You're not coming there for Nickelodeon. You're coming there for what the NFL is doing. You're already a fan. You're going, wow, this idea was there within the Super Bowl. That is the pivot moment where they go, when I was that age, I'm deciding between, am I going to do MLB, am I going to do whatever, right? And Tony Joseph became my guy, how I became a Cowboys fan, late, right? You're making those choices at those ripe ages. Someone has come through those doors, and we don't know who that kid's name is, but they showed up for the Super Bowl, Nickelodeon was there, and they went, wow, NFL, I'm in for life. And hopefully they also went, Nickelodeon understands what I am about as a kid on the sports side, I'm Nickelodeon for life. And that's...
I think it's the most unbelievable brand partnership, I think, because they want to get more development in sports because it's still one of the top entertainment choices for kids. And we want to be part of kids' talk and discussion, but not, in our past, we've actually tried just broadcasting flag games, which was nice. But it wasn't taking advantage of what Nickelodeon is. Let's bring sense of humor. Let's bring fun. Let's go to the Super Bowl. Let's face it, how many 7, 8, or 9-year-olds get to go to the Super Bowl? But they want to go, behind the scenes, and they want to see it through a kid's eyes, not through what we at the NFL might tell them about it. So I just think it's such a natural for two brands. It's so effortless in a way because it just fits and it works. And to me, the key, though, is to keep it fun, not arrogant, playful, and I think that's been the evolution of the partnership has become even more kind of stretching the boundaries to have more fun and be more spontaneous. What do you think?
Hey guys, I think it's huge to have both the creativity and the sports because when you play sports, you grow up a little bit faster because you're focused on your team. You learn discipline. You become way more disciplined than you should. You should still, but it's important to remember to be a kid. If you go around the NFL locker room, like Tom Brady's about to be 40, but he's one of the youngest guys in the locker room. So like playing sports keeps you young, but growing up in sports grows you up faster, gets you older than you would be as a kid that's just playing around. So it's always interesting to me because I feel like at some point in the future, there needs to be more activations at the actual stadium for the games for kids. Because kids are at the tailgates, they're just standing in the street throwing footballs around, but it'd be really cool if you could go get slimed or, interact with different characters, and they could be traveling different games. Maybe it's like the Thursday night games where Nickelodeon is there for those games in those towns. I'm just throwing y'all some money right now.
It's good. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I'm writing all this down up here. But to the point you just brought up, I mean, that's the other piece is to the growing up fast. The world that they live in is constantly like, tell me about your contract, tell me about your free agent thing, tell me what. When they come out, it's like, we're not asking any of that. So what we get out of the athlete is like this refreshing, different idea because we represent a part of the media that they don't deal with all the time. So they just can be their human selves, which people forget that even exists.
And I also think, this is just me and the players I've interacted with, but they do grow up fast and they work so damn hard from such an early age.
We can say damn?
In order to get, I can say damn.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't, but I can.
Don't push it much out.
To get to the NFL, and yet, they're still really young, right? A rookie's 21 years old. Yeah. And they remember not that long ago they were a kid, and they like to play around and have that fun. 30. And in a way, Nickelodeon is an outlet to get back to...
That was just hypothetical.
I totally agree with you because you're grinding all the time. From your childhood, like you kind of, to become a pro athlete, you kind of got to get rid of all this stuff to focus on what you're trying to accomplish. But there's something about that inner child staying alive. When that inner child is able to live forever, then that human being, like the creative adult is the inner child that survived. So like with athletes, there's a lot of creative athletes out there, but the sports world kind of shuns that. Like, can you read? Like, you could read? Like, you play sports, you're a writer. Nobody wants to read what you write. Like, come on, man, you're an athlete. Like, we get labeled as a dumb jock. So a lot of guys stick in that dumb jock space, and they lose out on that creative space and that creative haven. And a lot of guys are super, super into, like, a lot of stuff. Because we're parents, so I watch Paw Patrol every morning. You know what I'm saying? I watch Dora the Explorer, Swiper No Swiping. Come on, Boots. You know what I'm saying? Like, I watch it all because we're parents. So whatever's on the television, we're watching it. And then I grew up with that boom in the 90s with Doug, Rocco's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy. SpongeBob was a little bit after me, but I respect Sponge.
Salute your shorts.
I respect the Sponge. Salute your source. Mine was a Mythbender. All that, like Nick at Night, Nick at Night was I Love Lucy, but that was another thing though. I did love Lucy though. I had a crush on Lucy.
Hey, take me into, sorry, I mean, you can just keep going every other show that you remember.
I just letting you know these were part of my childhood. And
Lucy might take us down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, Lucy was a whole nother field though.
Take us into the conversations that happen about how to translate sports for kids. What are kids looking for? What gets them excited? How do you start thinking about where to take NFL content and bringing it to kids?
I will say my experience with the NFL, which is, it's interesting how we're on the outside. You might think we're different companies, and I find over the years we're wildly similar. There's a grounding in research. These guys have a truckload of research they do that guides their stuff. We have a truckload of research that guides what we do. They're intellectually curious, though, the other way. What do you guys know about your audience? What are you doing in digital social? What are you doing in blah, blah, blah? I mean, they are, right? We are both wildly,
Process-oriented.
here's the date,
Yeah.
we will line it up, and then we...
Season starts
I'm
here.
playing there like Marissa, and the pit bulls go... Now, what's interesting about that is now you have two bullish organizations who are very big and powerful and successful in their own thing, and that's great at pain points. But that's just like any organization. You work through that, and then you find the common sweet spots. And so what I think has been pleasurable about working with these guys is they'll go, here's what we're looking to achieve. Upcoming season, kickoff, Super Bowl, whatever Super Bowl is. Super Bowl 50 was a great thing. They were very articulate around what we're trying to achieve. And we'll go, here's where we're at in this space. Here's what their research is saying. Here's what our research is saying. And then you start to go from that and start to get down into, here's what we'd like to do.
But I think what's interesting about that, too, is with all the research and the planning, there's a permission in your organization and mine to challenge status quo.
Yes.
To not say, this is what we did that last year, so we have to do it again.
Right.
It's, look, if we're both trying to do this and this is happening, it's like the media world is changing so fast.
Yeah.
You can't say, okay, here's our cookie cutter approach, we're going to pump it out every year. And that's what I think has been really great about the partnership and why it's almost a decade old, but we're going to do new things all the time. And
honesty in
this
our
was
relationship, which I think companies need to have. Like, we don't work for the same company, but at some point, you need to be able to have honest conversations. So there's honest conversation that, we've had on both sides. Like, that didn't feel good around this thing. Here's what I'm looking to do next time. This doesn't, we can't do that. But you know what? Let me be open to that. And again, these things are iterative process. They take a while to get there, but it's interesting. There's a colleague that works, in their group who we were talking about something, and she said to me, I kind of wish you guys were on the floor down or the floor up, because we talk. I'm like, that's the greatest compliment. Separate organizations, but it was almost so. This is Jamie Weston. It was like that but that's where our relationship has gotten to. But you have to be kind of open and honest and visible around what you're trying to achieve. There needs to be a trust factor if I've said we're looking to achieve this, it's like
we have to celebrate birthdays together.
to celebrate birthdays together, right?
It's always nice.
It's always nice. Common goals, clarity, visibility,
I'm just here for
share the
community
info, look back at the mistakes, let them be mistakes for a moment, move forward, make it iterative, and build the wins.
Yeah. Martellus, how do you translate sports to kids?
Me?
Yeah. What do you think of when you think of what about football is going to excite a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old? How do you make that translation?
I don't think you really do it. I think the love for sports comes through the household, or through a friend's household. So if your parents don't really watch sports, there's usually a friend that you watch with. So it's usually it's a collaboration. There's a joint venture. When you watch sports as a kid, kids don't just watch the game by themselves. They watch the game with their friends. There's families who do fantasy football together, and all the kids in the neighborhood will come together and play fantasy football. But for me, I just try to be as awesome as possible all the time, so that kids know that they too can be awesome. So I think what these guys are doing, and this beautiful lady right here on my left, can I give her a round of applause? Some of y'all not clapping. I see y'all too.
You're getting slime.
I'm gonna follow y'all on Facebook and leave mean comments. No, but I think the interesting thing for me, there's always this challenge of the NFL's brand is a much older brand. If you think about it, it's usually men or fans that love it are usually older, already in high school or whatever is already going on. So it's always interesting that this partnerships are great because both have something to offer both sides. When it's a good partnership, it's if you're doing business and the partnership doesn't balance or a relationship doesn't balance, then it's not a good relationship. So you should get out that partnership. Although I don't believe in divorce. But let's continue. Let's continue. So the partnership is because they are a huge kids brand and a kids brand. NFL wants to get in that space. So we collaborate with one another to bring content to kids on a trusted kids brand. So if my son wants to watch NFL and it's brought to me by Nickelodeon, I trust Nickelodeon for kids already. You know, sometimes on NFL, like we do curse, like I do like to say damn. Mm-hmm. You know, so sure. So there are those moments, you know, things like that. But like with Nickelodeon, I know like it's a network that I'm familiar with, that my family's familiar with, that's been around for I don't know how many years, older than I am. So that says a lot. So it's like just trust. It's just a trust thing for me as a parent and as a fan to let my kids go and experience the NFL through the Nickelodeon because I know what the content is going to be and the level that they're going to bring it on.
But I think it's context, people, because I don't know if everyone fully captures this. Like his imagination agency is a legitimate content creation agent. I'm going to be your right. It's like,
I make stuff.
Like
He's good sales.
apps, Hey AJ, that you can digitally download and blah blah blah. Like real graphic novel, Tower Boy you put out. Long form feature, but like legitimate. It's actually, I've said this about you a lot. It's like a dumb bag of riches. Like, okay, so I'm just 6'7", and I run like a deer, I can push people around and blah blah blah. Like that's
run
not
like
enough.
An antelope.
Yeah.
Antelope's better than a deer.
Yeah,
They're
fast.
and it
Has an awkward gallop.
have you seen Bambi? She didn't run fast enough. Like her mother didn't run fast enough.
She died though.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to run like a deer because the deer died. I don't plan on dying. So I'm more like
Antelopes go
an
fast.
antelope. I've seen the Lion King too. I know there's some antelopes that got caught, but I wasn't that antelope.
The point I'm getting at
This is going to make a good GIF. Somebody's going to make a great GIF out of
is that, but talented illustrator, writer, designs like a whole nother, right? So his perspective isn't just like, hey, I'm a fan and I do this thing. Like,
Sure. In fact,
making
when
content
Dawn walked, when we were in the green room, Dawn walked in and Martellus just immediately started pitching her ideas.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was pretty, and you're full of them.
Yeah, I'm a natural.
Yes.
So I am a like.
He has the largest work backpack I've ever seen. It's
unbelievable.
Look, he's got so many things. He's
It's like Mary Poppins in there. You know, one of them pull out. Man, oh, you need Tic Tacs? Got you. Oh, you need a sword? I got that too. Like, whatever you may need.
I got a full antelope.
Tic Tacs and swords, you know what I'm saying? You want some deer jerky? I got some deer jerky, you know what I'm saying? Because deers get caught. You ever have antelope jerky? No, because no one's catching antelope.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Never a deer reference.
No,
again.
but I do. So I'm on both sides. So I'm a little bit of a bridge because I make kids content and I also play in the NFL. So that's kind of why I'm here, not just for comedic relief. I'm kind of here because I'm like in between. So I do make interactive children's book apps and I do animation and I write shows and I pitch shows to them and I pitch shows to them. So I play in the NFL, but I also love Nickelodeon. So I'm like right in the middle of them both.
Someone clap.
You got one fan out there.
Thank you. I didn't see who you was, but if you clap again, I will follow it. Yeah, what's up, buddy? I got you, man. So I make interactive children's book apps and on the App Store. The first one's free. I just released a comic book. I do children's books. I also did my first animated short film, and I finished up my next miniseries. And I make vinyl toys and other stuff too. So I am also the publisher and the distributor, and I own the whole process with my company too. So I'm trying to get these guys to let me write a show for them. That's why I'm also here too. So I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
I can't say anything about it. Press is sitting. I can't say anything about it. I gotta leave that alone.
You know, it's probably worth talking about why the three of us are here and it works is because kids, so if you just look at fandom for most sports is created under the age of 18. And some kids, you know, they get it from their family passed down. More and more kids, particularly maybe if they didn't grow up in this country, they kind of discover things on their own and then they take it to their family. But you discover things like if you play football, that's the best. I mean, if you become a fan at 5 and you're playing the sport, you're going to be a lifelong fan. But that's only like 15% of our fans have ever even played the sport. So how do you get to know it?
Makes a lot of sense.
How do you get to know it? And so what interests kids is actors and actresses on TV, it's cartoon characters, it's players, right? They don't come into football, let me learn the rules. Rules are kind of complicated. What they do is come in by, let me understand some of the stars, some of the heroes, what's going on. So when you create something that bonds the fun of Nickelodeon, their characters, with the players, then you get some magic.
Sorry, I just have it. But I feel like as a player, one of the struggles between us and like say the difference from the NBA is like you can't really see this beautiful face of mine because I wear a face mask all the time. So it's like, and then I wear a dark visor, so I'm kind of like a transformer, so that's cool. But I think the likeness, like, it's a little bit harder for kids to engage with the NFL player because they don't really know what they look like or who they are. So when you get platforms like Nickelodeon to go in there and introduce yourself to a kid so kids can grow your likeness and you can grow your business as well, because every athlete in the NFL is an entrepreneur. Like, I am a consultant. I play for whoever needs a tight end at that moment. I figured that out at a young age. Like, you need one, I'll be there for a year, I'll be there for 2 years. I don't know how long I'm going to be there, but I will consult your team as long as you need a tight end up to my standard. So I do independent contracts. Yes, they pay me well. I'm an independent contractor at my position. And every single year I have to better my product so someone wants to pay me more to go. So like right now I'm on there's an iPhone 8 coming out. I'm like Martellus 8.0 right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's better. You try to one up yourself every single year. So but like by doing this with kids who parents buy stuff for, you're able to make more money in the long run because kids are being able to see you. Oh, he did the voice on SpongeBob. Oh, I remember him. He was on this. He did that. Because now they associate you with SpongeBob, which makes you even cooler because it's like me and SpongeBob. I'm great. But, you know, if it's like me and unless you hang out with Odell Beckham, then you good anywhere you go.
Dawn.
So just observation. See if you think about it. I think athletes today, because they grew up in a social media world, are really much more attuned to, I'm going to play for a certain period of time, independent contractor.
Yes.
And then, but I'm going to use that time to define who I am, to reach out and create a fan base, to figure out what I'm going to do post the NFL or post basketball or whatever you're playing. And so they're really smart about how they leverage that time, I think, in the limelight to set themselves up for career two.
So, but here's the struggle with that. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. I didn't raise my hand.
Here's the struggle with that. The struggle with that is that the identity of the player becomes the sport. So therefore, when they leave the sport, they don't know who they really are.
This is a basketball problem.
Yeah, so they build their brand up using the sport, but they really don't have any other thing to offer besides the sport. So once that sport ends, no one's really interested in their product. Now, if a player stands up on a platform and they build that platform to grow into another space, like say for me in content creation with the Imagination Agency, then I could stand on the back of the NFL to promote what I'm trying to do in the long run. Like you do sports commentating, that's cool, but I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to talk about sports after I retire from sports. It's gonna be miserable.
This is the theme now.
Oh, you got it, bro.
Right. I think
Tag your it.
Right, tag your it. I think what's the challenge for Nickelodeon, I'll speak for, is also the opportunity. So the challenge is when the world was simpler, it was easy to be like our competitive set was only Disney or cartoon. Ratings were down on a given day, let's look to those spaces. The challenge now is the ratings are down on a given day, and we also know the research is kids love their families and love spending time with them, that we've noticed. Well, that means, they're watching The Voice. Because kids and families are watching it. They're watching game, whatever, NFC wildcard champion, right? Together. So it's made our competitive set like everyone. Well, there's also the opportunity in that. That means research tells us sports is a passion point for our audience. By the way, it always has been, but when the world was separated, it didn't matter. Now there's an opportunity to like partner up with folks in a way differently. To do different work, but that's kind of hard intellectually for us to get our heads around at first because we probably liked where the world was simpler. But I think that's the new frontier where it's like, how can we partner up with
and the players individually are a real solution to that, right?
They're a real solution to that.
Because the players, or at least a player like this guy right here, can certainly appeal to kids. They know how to talk to kids, but also. Parents want to see that other side of players, and particularly it was interesting when you were talking about being an NFL player. People can't see your face. They may not feel like they get to know you. I think of NFL players as serious, as very serious, and so seeing an NFL player in the light of Nick is an eye opener for me as an adult.
I think it's a disservice not let people see this face of mine.
Don't you think you want the protection, though?
I do when I play. I don't want anyone messing up this. This is my moneymaker.
Yeah.
I was going to go to a different place, though, around the fusion, right? So
Sure.
I'll use an example of my house. So my household is a giant household. I'm not, which we won't get into that. And I think it was Odell's rookie year. Scores a touchdown. He's in the end zone. Does that. Right. And at the time, to me, this is the fusion of everything. At the time, it's just, wow, that's Odell's end zone dance. Well, if you were from a certain part of the country, you actually knew that wasn't an end zone dance. You knew actually that was the dance. But for mass of the country, that was just Odell doing an end zone dance. And then like within like 6 weeks, I felt like later it was like some other song. Blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, it was like Whippin' Nay Nay and stuff happens. It's like, oh, wait a minute. He brought like culturally from a geographical region a music and dance thing into his, right, on a giant platform, the NFL, that all of our kids and family audience was watching. And then next thing you know, we're trying to, music is the other passion point for our audience, we're trying to put that into our storylines, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's when like the light bulbs were going off for us. Like that fusion between music and sports and our audience, it's just,
Well, and we're trying to bring more
organic.
music. Not only is music around the game and accent, plays, but I think the interesting, or the opportunity, but it does make it more complex, is that the digital world we live in, there's so much content. I mean, think about it, 5 years ago, Hulu, Amazon Prime, these things
Right.
didn't exist. And now there's so much, and even a kid, as soon as like they're 2, they're stealing their parents' iPad or phone and working on it. I want mine fixed, I go to my niece, But I think what that's done is said the way that you got to kind of break through is you have to fuse these things. And people, we can't like take the same highlights and put it everywhere. That's boring. We got to find a different slant, and kids are looking for something that the other kid hasn't found yet.
Right.
That's why I told him we should be great to have like a sports center with like SpongeBob hosting it. Calling the plays. And Martellus Bennett's running down the cell and it's SpongeBob, Patrick's there, Squidward's there, and they're calling the game. Like it'd be so funny for a kid because now they get real content from the game, but with a character that they know.
In
That'd
an
be cool.
environment that they can understand and appreciate.
And then for me, I love that there's, no offense to you guys, but I love, as a content creator, I think it's like the gold rush right now with all the different platforms that you can make content for, with Hulu, or you could do it with Amazon, you could do it with Netflix, no longer do you have to go through the old way of going through the path of just television. Like television is dying a little bit, because not for you guys, but for everybody else.
Keith, you have something to say about that?
Everybody else is starving, like television.
The only thing I attach to with that is he reflects from a consumer standpoint the purity of.
I shouldn't even have
is
that
that
on
you?
stage.
Is that me?
Yes. It's one of
the
my
purity of like, I
vices.
just want good stuff, and I'll go to whatever platform I get to get it. So again, the challenge of us is, oh my gosh, there's more doors for people to knock on, whatever. But I believe we're well positioned. We're content creators, and we make good stuff. So if we make good stuff, we should be able to put them down any pipe there is and make people love Nickelodeon through the different partnerships and the different relationships that we can do. But we have to be a little bit of humble to acknowledge there's different doors to knock on. It's not just, hey, we're pole position now and flip it on. Just like these guys, that's part of the relationship. Is like they're not going, you're just going to automatically show up to Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night just because with the NFL. They're trying to build it 20 years from now. We're having this conversation.
The other thing I think is interesting about Nickelodeon is because you've been around for a while now, you actually do hit multiple generations.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you'll remember growing up with or
Right.
hearing your older brother talk about
Right.
SpongeBob or whatever, and
Right.
SpongeBob's still around, and then you have the new characters, so that there's a parent sharing watching this stuff with their kids now.
But that
too,
again
more
is
than
back to
there
the
used to be.
commonality between us.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for coming.
They got called
Thanks for
out.
coming.
They got to go find your new comment.
Write down your names on Facebook. I'll see y'all on Facebook.
There's slime right out the door.
Yeah, you're going to get
Comes right
slime.
Oh, that's tough.
Oh, man.
What I was gonna say was, but that's the maturity of the two brands, right? That these guys have spanned multiple generations, so I'm able to speak to what Monday Night Football meant to me as a kid growing up to my boys now, and blah, 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 whatever. And same thing for this 30-plus-year-old brand. Kids' Choice Awards is 30 years old. Nickelodeon's 37 or something years old. So now there's a generation of Nickelodeon kids who are Nickelodeon adults now who grew up with it and are able to go to their daughter Jet, who's 3, and blah, 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 right? And so.
That's why a Disney does well with all the remakes. They make Beauty and the Beast.
Why just to bring them up, though?
I was just throwing it out there. Because I was about to tell you guys that you guys should start making movies from all the content that I grew up. So now I can take my daughter to go see the Hey Arnold movie.
It's a little uncomfortable.
Right?
Or the Real Monsters movie. I mean, they're all your competition. Somebody has to talk about another tight end. So
What's he talking about?
everybody has to.
I didn't bring up Gronk or Jimmy Graham, though.
I'm just saying though. But it's competitive. It's competitive. You gotta, like you said, the different people out there. So at one point, all you guys were lions, right? All you guys were lions. You were the king of the jungle, and that's how it is. At one point, when I came in the league, I was the king of the jungle, and whoever was in front of you was the gazelle. Every day the gazelle wakes up, the gazelle knows one thing: it has to run.
Yeah.
because the lion is going to chase it. If it doesn't run fast enough, then rawr. Witten was the gazelle, and I was the lion. Every day Witten came to work, he ran good too. He's still there. I obviously didn't catch him.
I have visions of the Lion King meets the NFL.
Yeah, a lot of,
Yes, exactly.
a lot of animal metaphors going on
I
here.
like animals. It's my best category on Heads Up.
I'll try to ask a serious question.
Yes.
This was mentioned earlier, and I think that the earlier part of the conversation, pre-Gazelle, was getting into it, was how to build a culture in which this kind of flexibility is possible. All right, because you're both older companies. Martellus, you can find an animal metaphor to jump in here. Sorry, you're elephants. You're right, old lumbering elephants, and you cannot be an old lumbering elephant. How did you guys? Was there anything strategic that happened inside the NFL or Nickelodeon that built a culture that allowed for flexibility and innovation and that humbleness that you guys were talking about? Was there anything strategic?
I'll speak for Nick and then my observation of the NFL. And they felt similar. You know, we were experimenting with a few ideas. They were an experiment in terms of the NFL Rush Zone experience. Another one separately with Rob Dyrdek of Fantasy Factory, Rob and Big, right, with Wild Grinders. And that started to put us on a path of like sports, passion point for our audience, and then we got focused around it because that's just, once we like kind of decide we're heading down a path, we do. I wasn't in their early conversations. I came into a meeting, but what I found as a similarity is like once the NFL decides they're heading down a path, they're focused around what they're, right? So to me, that's what felt like, okay, we have a really good partner here. Like we're in it. And if we decide 2 years in, we're going to make a mistake and need to repivot or go, we're both out, blah, blah, blah. But they come in deliberate with a point of view and focus around where they're going. And we're similar that way. Not every partner, just period, not league partner, just not every partner that we work with does that. Sometimes they approach us like, you're Nickelodeon, you have kids on, we want kids space. Do you have a point of view? Well, not really, but we just want to be in the kids space.
I very much saw, as an outsider, what you saw, which is if you're not careful, your success will define you as your father's Oldsmobile. And brands like the NFL that have such appeal, in a way, are swimming upstream because we've got a society that delights in doing something different than somebody else and discovering something new. So in an environment and a culture where everybody's looking for something new, what's really paramount on the NFL is really to stay true to who we are and our core and our game and our players, but to change it up and make sure that we understand what the next generation wants and find a way to reinterpret our sport. So what we did is bring a lot of out. I mean, we've always been a data-driven organization, but I think we weren't as focused on different generations of fans and how sort of at the age that you are, if you're a kid, if you're a teen, if you're in college, you're trying to date, it's a different way that football interacts with your life than when you have kids of yourself, than when you're parents, when you're grandparents. And so being able to say, look, we don't have to do everything the same way. We can target. And we can target even within a demographic. We can do something different on this social platform than this one because we understand that people aren't all the same. Even 8-year-olds are not all the same. They have different ways to interact with things.
Thank God for that.
And anyway, I think that's just keeping driving that big has to stay nimble, that big has to stay innovative, that big has to challenge the way they've done things before and try to bring new thinking to the table.
You guys
Which is
are
not easy.
You guys
Not
are like
easy to be
tight
big and
ends.
nimble. They're big and nimble?
Yeah, we have to do a lot
Running.
of stuff. We have to block, catch the ball, pass protect, play in the backfield. Everybody else get to do one thing, but the tight end is like Batman's utility belt. You don't know if you're going to get a smoke bomb or a bat wing pterodactyl thingy majigga. So it's
Throw
pretty
it at
special. You guys are like, and then you have to be
He
nimble.
slipped an animal in
fast.
there.
He did.
That was good.
He did.
Yeah.
Likes animals.
I like animals. I do. I think they're a lot like us. Except for, no, they're not. Human beings are terrible people. They're terrible creatures. We destroy the earth and animals. But come on. Let's talk about this.
I'm going to open it up to questions. Yeah, do we have? Are we
Come on,
supposed to have a
Ethan.
microphone
Ethan
running
has a
around?
Shout it
question.
out. He'll
Let's
shout it
go.
We'll shout it out.
I have great eyes.
Shout it out. I'll respond.
I have great eyes.
Where do the teams fit into this whole universe? Like, so, I mean, aside from how you actually structured the deal between the entities, like, do they have a role in almost linking both your brands together, or do you look at it as purely a top line focus on the players and focus on football?
The question was, where do the teams fit into all of this?
Well, I'm going to answer broadly, and then we can talk specifically about this relationship. But obviously, teams are really great at reaching out, in their communities and working with I'd say they're better at working with their current fan base than they are necessarily attracting. And a lot of them have youth programs, but not really at scale. Mm-hmm. So I think what we've been able to do is to say, hey, how can we? So we've got a group of 8 to 10 of the marketing directors for the teams that come together with us, and we go deep on kids. What can we do to make it a better experience? At the national level, doing something with Nickelodeon, how do we bring that, somebody mentioned it, to the actual game, to the kids that go to the game? How about if a kid can't go to the game, can we give them things in the community to interact? So we try to share best practices and share what's working in one area that might work here, because the teams are I'd like to think people love, the NFL. No, they love a team. They love the players. So that's where the real heart and the connection comes. And what we do is try to amplify that and put it on a national stage and provide those opportunities. But it's not for the big monolithic, the NFL. It's for team, players, position. And that's what engages people. So it's really important to have that team connection. And something that I also worry about is that as fantasy and other things take over, and we want people to know players more and become engaged, but we don't want to do it at the expense. We are the ultimate team sport, and we want to make sure that's what really drives people being connected for a long time, because even as the players change out or we're switch teams, you still want to have them not sort of become disinterested now because they've lost a player.
The jersey's bigger than the name on the back of it.
Yeah.
I know that. I
Yeah.
tell guys that all the time.
So this question's for Martellus, Mr. Antelope.
I can't hear you.
Over here.
Oh, I see you now.
Yeah, it's me. So on the one
Stand
hand,
up, bro.
what's up, man?
Stand up, bro.
Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah.
So on the one hand, you're a Super Bowl winning tight end, super aggressive, running people over. And on the other hand, you have a children's content creation company. So how do you kind of balance those two mindsets and kind of switch between the two? And also, have any other players expressed interest in collaborating with you?
A funny story about that.
Yeah, so I'm usually very happy all the time, and I'm very gregarious. Great word. So the moment I put my helmet on, I transform. I'm into ass-kicking mode. Like, the helmet goes on, ass-kicking mode. Helmet goes off, hey guys, how you doing? That's just how I am. So, for me, when I'm playing, I'm in a totally different zone. Like, I love stiff arming people and stepping on people, or not having them think I'm gonna help them up, but I'm just pressing off their chest. Like, that stuff excites me. And when fans scream when you stiff arm somebody, if I always tell, if I go to a grocery store and you take the last box of Captain Crunch and I stiff arm you for it, it's frowned upon. But in the NFL, it's great. He stiff armed that guy, great job. So it just turns off. It's no different from being a father. I don't go home all super, hey baby, let's go play upstairs. You give daddy, there you go. Great job walking. Great job walking. That's why I'm saying, you see my daughter? I'm not that guy on the playground. Look at how she swings. She's a champ. I am raising champions in my household. But I'm not, because losing is contagious. Trust me. Losing, first you lose games, then you lose the championship. The next thing you know, you lose your job, you lose your family, then you lose your house. It just goes, everything just snowballs fast. Losing is that contagious. But for me, creating content is who I am all the time. I don't turn creativity off. I can't. I create because I have to, and I play football because I want to. So I don't have to play football. I'm going to be just as happy if I was just creating. But for now, when people don't scream when I stiff arm people, I'm still going to do it because I enjoy doing that. And I like dominating another guy. That sounded weird. Take that back. That sounds weird. But I like the preparation for the game, the mental part of the game, preparing for somebody, the way they move. Does he have good hips? Does he have bad hips? Or can he change direction? Do I stop and pop against him? Or is this a guy that I need a speed cut? Or is it a sharp cut downhill? Or is it how am I going to release against 32 that's different? Or, so for me, the mental preparation of the game is the most fun part. And then when the shit actually works on Sunday, it's man, that was great. When it doesn't work, God damn, I worked a whole week on that and it didn't work at all. So, and it's instant gratification too, because you could practice something and then you could try it out on Sunday and it works right away.
Why are you looking at me with the side eye though?
Huh?
Why are you looking at me with the side eye?
Because this guy right here one day, I'm at Nickelodeon. We're having a great time. I'm out here I'm engaging with all the people. I'm being gregarious. So we're having a good time, and everybody's like, man, this guy's so nice. So I find out that he asked the people, now, like, watch this. He's like, so who could jam you up? Then I just switch. I'm like, nobody could jam me up, bro. What you talking about? So we go from talking about SpongeBob to like, hey, what are you talking about? You trying to jam me up right now?
Don't be fooled by it, right? Don't be like, I was like, I'm going to poke the bear a little bit. I go, so seriously, who at the line of scrimmage can just jam you up? And he said, what are you talking about? I'm like, you just can't get off the line. He's like, bro, no one can jam me up. I'm like, someone can jam you up. He's like, bro, no one can jam me up. So now we're standing in the lobby and so we're like this. I'm like, I'm right here, right on. Who jams you up? He's like, what, bro? I'll do the swim technique again. And he's serious with it, but the switch is, I have a picture of the jamming him up to the line.
Yeah, he tried to jam me up, but they ain't happening, bro. Like, it's all fun and games until we get inside the white lines. And once the white line's on, bro, I don't care. Like, I go at my teammates because I feel like during training camp, I feel like, look, it's a competition. Like, and the NFL is men playing. Like, this guy has to feed his family. I have to feed my family. So I'm playing for my family's livelihood. So I feel like a lot of rookies have a disadvantage because they don't have families because they're playing against men. And when you play against a man who's trying to feed his family, it's a totally different tenacity. So when a kid comes up to me on the field, I'm telling him, I'm not going to be the reason you make the team. Not me. I'm the reason why you don't make the team. So don't come over here and line up against me because today is not going to be the day.
I think the macro.
Sorry, I'm just y'all made me snap for a
thing. But I think the macro thing, and yeah, we had to get out of our own way at Nickelodeon, where it was like a Nickelodeon kid is about these ideas. I'm like, wait, the same kid who watches the NFL is the same kid who loves iCarly. That's not a different human. That's not a different human being. But we were treating it like it was a different human being, as if you can't content create and want to stiff arm someone. Like, that can be in the same person. So I think, again, once we got out of our own way, that's how what may seem like a dissimilar idea is like, actually, no, there's a 7-year-old sitting at the intersection of all of this.
Yes, not defined by one thing.
Let me break it down even further for you. The kids that y'all are creating for, I am the Nickelodeon kid. So one of those kids watching Nickelodeon is going to be in the NFL. That's me. That's who I am. Like, when I look at those kids watching those cartoons, or I'm making cartoons for those kids, I'm making cartoons for kids that may be in the NFL, may not be in the NFL. But those kids are no different from me. So when I look at them, I see myself. Except for I just have a mean stiff arm and they ain't got one yet.
But there's something going on. It's, in the world of celebrity or the world of athletes, people, but particularly kids, but people, they want to know more about them than just what they're doing on the field. And I think one of the things that concerned me maybe when I first got to the NFL is that the assumption was tough, aggressive, serious on the field, therefore that way off the field. When in fact, the majority of our players have foundations, most of them give back to their local communities, a lot of them do stuff for kids because they want to help kids like them get a better shot at life. And so when we market the NFL and we do things that allows our players to tell their stories and tell what makes them different, we actually engage our fans because they want to know more than just what position do they play on what team. That's interesting, but I want to know, what do they eat? What do they train? What do they like to do off the field? What are their passion points? What music do they like to listen to? And because that just draws kids in particularly and makes them more interested.
This is perfect for the platform I pitched to both of you guys.
There you go.
This is exactly what I'm trying to give the kids. Any more questions out there? Sorry, Jason.
Hi.
Hello, I can't see you.
Okay.
Now I can.
Great.
Oh, there you go.
So this is for Keith and Martellus. What are some of the non-traditional ways that you guys are about to go when it comes to creating content? So maybe some of the non-traditional platforms like a Facebook Live or a Periscope, as well as the type of content.
For me, I actually care less about the pipes because the pipes are going to be there. There's going to be new pipes emerging all the time. I'm caring more about the storytelling that's coming down the pipes. So when I say that, meaning the business side of me is not diminishing we need to be understanding Hulu, Amazon Prime, and Facebook Live, and the list goes on, and Snapchat, and how we use those platforms. But at the end of the day, they are pipes, they are ways to get the consumer. I'm really concerned about the storytelling that we have at the front end. How are we diversifying that storytelling? How are we being inclusive of a lot of different voices? Sports is one path to get a different type of diversification of storytelling. Music's a different way to get diversification of storytelling. Our audiences starve for it, and they're consuming it on pipes outside of us not because the pipes are important, because we're not servicing them in the way they need to be serviced. So that is actually what I care about first and foremost. And so when I say our research is saying sports is a passion more for our audience, it's because there's a type of story. The NFL is a storyteller. I think people forget about that. It's every week there's a must-see TV soap opera. You go 0-3.
That you can't predict.
Your soap opera's like, oh my gosh, what's that?
write
It
this
is
either.
like, right? And that's the fan base. They have built that thing in. So I want some of that soap opera.
It's like the Super Bowl.
Right.
There's no way you could write that. Rudy
Right.
wasn't that good. Any Given Sunday wasn't that good. Remember the Titans was great, but it wasn't like the Super Bowl. Like you cannot recreate that moment, those moments that the NFL create, those stories.
That's what we're trying to tap into. This mindset and antelopes and everything that goes with it. This mindset, everything that goes with it, right? And bring that diversification to our audience, then down every pipe that we can put it down.
Well, if I build off your storytelling, one of the worries I see or that I get concerned about in marketing is everybody's measuring clicks and how much reach did I get and who do I get, what pipe did I use and how many different hits did I get, when in fact, it's really about engagement.
Yep.
It's really about, I'll even take a little less reach if I can get somebody who wants to spend time with me.
I say that all the time. I'd rather have less followers that like my content than to have more followers that don't just skim past it. But for me, for content creation, I am because I'm growing and I'm a believer that. So first we had the radio. Everyone used to gather around the radio and everyone used to listen to the radio, whatever, to be entertained. And then this great thing came around called the television. And it was great. First it was black and white, then they got it in color. It wasn't in color at first, I don't know how old you are, but it used to be in black and white before it was in color. So television came, and television was awesome. Then they made 3D televisions, and television was great. But now they have these mobile devices, iPads, all kinds of gadgets, and now content is on the move. It's on the go. And what I'm really interested in right now is that with TV, there's only one cognitive sense. You just watch. And if you want to play a game, you have to, change it to play the game. But with the mobile platform is you can create content where they can watch shows, be interactive with books, interactive with games. It's all in one place. So you can build your own network. And one thing is you're in one of the second biggest stores in the world, which is the Apple App Store. Then Amazon is number one for me. So Amazon, then you can be an Amazon store too. But now they just download your app and they got all the content possibly there. There's shows, there's games, and they don't have to go to multiple places to get it. It's all in one house. Whew. But yeah, and then IG, I'm interested in making a cartoon series that only exists on IG in the short format. So it's just different episodes that will come on there as well. So I'm interested in a lot of things, as you can tell.
Well, we have passed our time, and surely someone's thinking that if they get up, Martellus is going to yell at them. Do we want?
Yeah, don't you get up! That's how they treat you in football. Football, you have to use the bathroom. Bill Belichick talking, you got to use the bathroom. You're like, man, Bill, it's been an hour and a half. And y'all been telling me to hydrate. I've been hydrating all morning. I got to use the bathroom. But you don't want to be that guy that gets up and leaves while Bill's talking. It's like, oh, come on, man. So it's crazy. The bathroom is always full after the first team meeting.
But let's take one more.
Okay.
Yep.
Martellus, you choose.
Why you put that pressure on me?
Go deep.
Hello.
All right. The lady up there. Ladies haven't been getting a lot of love today. Not that, that's a man.
Yeah.
She's pointing at him.
You got the
he got the mic. What's up, man? Let's go.
Hey, I just wanted to ask, obviously there's pretty alarming stats at how much more time children are spending indoors consuming all this content on all these devices. Is there a strategy discussion on using content to actually encourage kids to get back outdoors so that there is football players in 20 years' time?
So, let me answer this one?
You can go for it.
So one thing I was talking to them about too is so first of all, the generation has changed. No longer is kids are going to be on mobile devices. That's just the generation that they are. Their eyes are going to be different from ours, adapting to it. So I'm not really worried about them sitting too close because as the one thing, out of all the creatures that ever been on the planet, the humans are still here. That's because we have the best ability to adapt. Even the great dinosaurs are dead, but I love dinosaurs. But so for me, there's always a chance there's
slow though.
Dinosaurs.
Oh,
depends which
few are
one.
fat. That's
it depends
true.
which
Few are
one.
fast.
And then the T-Rex couldn't catch I don't think.
Short arm.
Although we have players we call T-Rexes that get scared across the middle. Ooh, he T-Rexing it because he don't want to reach for the ball. But for us, like it's also like not only is it creating content, but it's also creating content where like there's a timeout or like in the same platform. Say we do this platform is Nickelodeon and the NFL. In that platform, it could be not only that content, but it could be players on there like, this is the food I like to eat, or these are my favorite workouts, my favorite exercises. So now, or imagine Steph Curry shooting a jump shot, and your kid, this is how you shoot the perfect jump shot. Could you imagine the kids going outside to try to shoot just like Steph Curry because he showed them how he shot? Or this is how I throw the ball. Tom Brady showing how I throw the ball. Kids will go out and practice what Tom Brady is doing because they want to play like Tom Brady. So they feel like they're getting, or my favorite workout is the push-up. I like to do this many push-ups every day. If they see their favorite J.J. Watt does push-ups, I want to look like J.J. Watt I don't want to look like J.J. Watt, but I want to look like J.J. Watt when I grow up. You know what I'm saying? So now kids are interactive with the content that you're putting out there, but at the same time, they can have fun with the animation and fantasy football, wherever it may be. So it's a platform of plethora of things that we could put, a cornucopia of things that we could put on there.
That's good.
SATs coming out.
Good.
Definitely. I got 990 on it just in case you're wondering.
But also to give you the stats behind it, sports participation is declining, and it's a function of a lot of things. One is the mobile device and all this content. The other is more and more kids are living in urban areas and there aren't things for them. So we put a lot of focus on trying to put more programs out there in areas that don't have access to, and flag programs in addition to tackle football programs, but doing things that make kids get outside and get active. So we partnered with the United Way to try to get something called Play 60, where we go into elementary schools and our players show up and help this and create playgrounds and try to get into the curriculum the notion that kids will go outside and do something for 60 minutes. And now the government's coming to us saying, okay, great, 60, they need more exercise. Can you get it to 90?
Yeah.
So, can we get it from just playing to playing a game? So can we create some more games for kids to play? So it really is an issue. We could look at it as an opportunity. We look at it as a way to get them, playing around with the football all that they can. But it's something that I think all sports need to focus on.
And Nickelodeon literally has had its Worldwide Day of Play initiative for years where, come in the fall, it's like we literally go dark on our air, on our platform. 3 hours. Goodbye, go outside, go play, do a big event here in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, have a bunch of partners, including the NFL Play 60, come in under our tent. We do events across the country. So we've been involved in that let's play idea as a way to keep kids active, keep kids healthy, combat obesity, right, with a variety of partners, and league partners, ad partners like General Mills, right, and how do you bring content into that? So that's been important to us for.
And one thing I'm doing right now, my charity, I just finished designing my first playground, so I'm starting to build playgrounds all over the world. And my first one's going to be in Houston, so I design playgrounds, magnificent playgrounds, not the playgrounds where you don't want to go to. It's these are because I got banned from a theme park when I was a kid, so I was like, when I get my chance, I'm going to build theme parks for kids all over the world. So I'm starting with these playgrounds. I'm building playgrounds all over the world first.
Yeah. They're interactive.
Yes. Oh, no, they're crazy. They're nuts. It's the best playground ever. Mm-hmm. I'm telling y'all,
why'd you get?
We have a question over here.
That's a whole.
You didn't want to ask it?
I'll tell you that.
Oh, that's later.
Yeah.
Well,
you're like, what?
Okay, we can end it on this. I'll tell the story, and this could be the last one. I'll tell y'all why I got banned from the playground. All right, so there's this great place in Texas. It's called Astroworld. It's amazing. There's roller coasters, there's funnel cake, there's lemon pies, and there's all these rides, and it's like the Superman ride. You feel like you're Superman for at least 60 seconds, and then you throw up. I don't think that Superman ever throws up because he has I hate Superman, actually. But that's a whole nother story. But we're there. It's me and my brother. My parents used to drop us. I have season passes here. And my parents used to drop us off with $20 each. My brother plays for the Seahawks, Michael Bennett. So he would drop us off for $20 each, which is nothing at the theme park, like $20. I know my parents were struggling at the time, but come on, Mom and Dad, you better off not giving me anything, So I get to the theme park, and we're having a good time, and me and Michael, we're two big kids, and we have a funnel cake, and I have a Coca-Cola, and that's my $20, and Michael has a funnel cake, and he has a Sprite, that's his $20. So we're there for 6 hours, so we got hungry, and we were really hungry. We were big kids. I was 6'6", 240 when I left high school. At this time, I was probably 6'3", 210. I was I was younger. But so I'm there, and I used to be a really good thief. I could pick pockets, I could steal things. So We had the best day ever at the park. I stole so much food from me and my brother. Like, we were eating everything. Like, bro, we had funnel cake on our faces. We stood in line. We left full. Like, when we got ready to leave, we weren't hungry. Like, my mom was cooking. We probably wouldn't have ate that night. Then again, we would have ate anyway, because that's just who we were as human beings. So we enjoyed this day, 6 hours of awesomeness. Somebody order a funnel cake. I just walk up and take it. You know, we eat it. We'll take corn dogs, chips, cold drinks. Like, it was delicious. Like, it was the greatest day of my life. I'll never forget this day. But on the way out, you know, after this great day, we high-fiving each other. Yeah, great day, bro. Like, this is best. I can't wait to come back tomorrow and do this again, right? On the way out, I was like, I need something to remember this day. I steal a keychain that says Six Flags. And the dude tapped me on my shoulder. It's like, we've been trying to catch you all day. So after all the stuff I stole, they caught me stealing the keychain. And that was pretty much it. They banned me for a summer. I never went back. So I have this obsession with theme parks, and I want to have Marty Land one day. That's gonna be better than Astroworld. And Astroworld just shut down, and I want to get enough money to buy it and rename it Marty Land and revamp it up for the kids.
Kind of legendary.
It's kind of, but I also got banned for IHOP, but I had to tell y'all that another time.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to Dawn, Martellus, Keith. Come up later, Martellus. We'll tell you what kind of animal you are. We'll see you.
All right, thank you so much. That was a great way to end the day. So everybody, we actually have to clear the venue pretty soon. So we've got a networking event at WeWork a couple blocks down the street. That actually doesn't open until 6 p.m. So I apologize for not letting you have some time to network, but you can blame Martellus.
Trying to dip my toes in the mirror, thinking, who is that girl, and does the mirror